Technological singularity. This is a defined point in time where the growth of technology will become uncontrollable to the point that we will see irreversible changes in human civilization. I.J. Good's intelligence explosion model, the most widely accepted interpretation of the singularity theory, predicts that an upgradable intelligent agent will eventually enter a runaway reaction of self-improvement cycles, with each new and more intelligent generation appearing more and more quickly, leading to an explosion in intelligence and a potent superintelligence that qualitatively far exceeds all human intelligence. We definitely wouldn't rule out the chances of the technological singularity occurring with technology rapidly progressing. If anything, this phenomenon might end up occurring earlier than the year 2060. Space elevators. As early as 1895, when Russian physicist Konstantin Tsiolkovsky first considered the notion of a space elevator. In the middle of the late 20th century, as the space race began and manned visits to Earth orbit grew more frequent, several more comprehensive plans emerged. Access to near-Earth space, the Moon, Mars, and other planets and moons would be revolutionized if a space elevator could significantly lower the cost of entering orbit. Such a project, however, was made impractical for the time being due to upfront cost and the degree of technology necessary, relegating it to the realm of science fiction. Due to advancements achieved with carbon nanotubes, the idea was given increased attention in the early years of the 21st century. A material with extremely high tensile strength and a low density might be created for the elevator cable using these cylindrical molecules. After several years of struggles and more than a decade of construction, by the mid-2070s, the first space elevator is likely to become operational. Fusion power. By the year 2070, at least one fusion reactor will already be present in most advanced nations, either operational for commercial purposes or under construction. The idea behind fusion power is to use the heat produced by nuclear fusion processes to create electricity. Energy is released when two lighter atomic nuclei fuse to have a heavier nucleus. Fusion reactors are machinery created to capture this energy. The 1940s saw the start of research on these reactors, but progress has been modest. While electric-based initiatives have been sweeping the globe, big advances in nuclear power will likely occur during the next few decades. Fusion power reactors will provide a plentiful, clean, and secure source of electricity. Longevity treatments halt aging. If you thought there was no chance for humans to stop aging, then think again. Longevity treatments to halt aging will be widespread by the year 2060, and they'll be carried out at a low cost. Instead of being a unified process, aging researchers identified several distinct types of places where changes to cellular structure could be made to steady the process of aging. There are treatments for fewer cells being produced, and too many cells being produced uncontrollably, the latter known commonly as the condition of cancer. By the middle of the 2060s, cost reductions, patent expirations, and other scientific advancements will enable the majority of the world's population to benefit. The ethics and consequences of putting an end to aging have been hotly contested, as they have been with earlier scientific revolutions. However, this idea should be vastly explored due to the rise in public support and the general increase in quality of life. Fully automated homes. In industrialized countries, buildings will have become incredibly mechanized and self-sufficient by 2070. Specific areas of these automated homes will be changed to the owner's preferences. Since owners might prefer different designs, they'll be given options to orient the landscape of their house as per their choice. The structure itself may be able to produce energy using a mix of photovoltaic and piezoelectric components. Thanks to organic solar technology, almost all solar light's wavelengths can be absorbed by walls, roofs, and windows. Rainwater is collected via external guttering, stored, and purified using nanofiltration devices. Using this storage method, water can be reused instead of wasted. Since it's expected that the world will undergo a water shortage by the year 2050, there's a chance that this specific technology might arrive earlier than expected. Windows can self-adjust their size, location, opacity, and more to maximize the amount of natural light. The entire facade of some of the more upscale buildings can change in texture and look. The air in the house is always clean, fresh, and free of dust and microorganisms. The whole inside of the building is covered in holographic generators, including the walls, doors, worktops, mirrors, and shower stalls. These intelligent surfaces may show information whenever and wherever required while tracking the resident's location. It may also be used to read emails, view news articles, and access the internet from anywhere in the home. By 2070, most appliances that don't maintain or repair themselves in some way will be rendered obsolete. It will be highly uncommon to need to bring in a human engineer. Self-assembling buildings from nanotech. Nanotechnology's scope in the world is massive right now, and it's only expected to grow in the coming time. And its growth is expected to hit such a high that by the year 2060, it will be possible to develop entire homes and offices using nanotechnology alone. It will require a scaffold system that initially resembles a huge four-poster bed, self-assembling machinery. A platform rises from the earth and is supported by vertical columns, one in each of the site's four corners, by successive layers of material. Until the construction is completed, the columns rise in unison with the platform while also carrying material. These machines will lay down the foundation of entire buildings piece by piece. It will include the structural framework, flooring, electrics, doors, and other components. The interior will be well designed, and adjustments will be made where necessary. Even skyscrapers and other towering buildings could be built using this technique by 2070. Groundwork to completion is completed in a matter of days because of how quickly the process moves. Rarely, if ever, are people required on site. Advanced nanotech clothing. The capabilities of earlier generations of nanotech clothing have been enhanced by modern textiles, which have improved many of the underlying technologies. In the year 2070, clothing previously restricted to science fiction has been produced via a complicated synthesis of nanotechnology, biotechnology, claytronics, metamaterials, and other components. Despite being primarily used by elites, government forces, and specialized employees, some of these suits are beginning to enter the mainstream. Self-assembling nanotechnology has been used in construction for many years. Until now, the procedure could only be carried out with extensive noticeable gear, nanofabrication, or items suspended in catalytic fluid tanks. However, more nuanced and quick creation of macro-scale things in a more compact form is now possible because of recent developments in nanorobotics. Smart clothing becomes a trillion-dollar industry. Out of everything you wished would turn smart, you probably expected your clothes to be the last. By the year 2060, we'll see our clothing become immensely innovative as well. Thanks to their embedded sensors and miniature electronic circuitry, these intelligent clothes will be an attractive alternative to traditional passive clothing and enable smooth communication with phones, computers, automobiles, and other gadgets. Wearers of smart clothing will be more productive, check on their health, and even seek assistance if they have an accident. Since clothes must be occasionally washed and water damages electronics, producing such clothing is technically quite difficult, which is why you do not yet own any smart clothing. Purdue University engineers created an innovative spray and sewing technique to turn any regular fabric item into a battery-free wearable that can be washed in a washing machine. Space hotels become accessible to the general public. The first space hotel is expected to launch in the year 2027, and that's quite early compared to the year 2060. However, by the year 2060, these hotels will become accessible to the general public as advancements in technology drive down the cost substantially. Star Trek actor William Shatner became the oldest person in space owing to a trip with Blue Origin last year, while billionaire Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic launched into suborbital space. But the major drawback that is a part of this entire prospect is the price point. Since obviously not all of us can afford a trip to space with today's technology, waiting for the arrival of the space hotels of the future might be the best bet. Of course, a lot of amenities can be expected, just like that of a standard hotel. The public space would be put together to form a complicated structure that resembled a truncated octahedron. It would have a vast room with a lobby, restaurant, entertainment area, and other areas where people might partake in low-gravity meals, sports, and many amusements. Permanent human base on Mars. NASA stated its goal to bring humans to Mars in the 2030s, and we're still a decade away from that. One of the essential concepts that will be applied in the Mars expedition will be the concept of a permanent human base, which includes logistics modules, an astrobiology lab, a science module, and a habitat module. Rovers would attach directly to the modules so astronauts could transfer directly to the vehicles without needing to head outside. NASA would concentrate its exploration efforts within roughly 100 kilometers of the landing and habitation location. This region, usually referred to as the exploration zone, has regions that potentially support people and have a significant scientific impact. Underground towers has become common. Global inequality has been influenced by climate. By founding brand new micronations, a super wealthy elite, which today includes several trillionaires, sought to protect their interests. Others went to the waters to construct gigantic floating islands and underwater dwellings, while some decided to invest in locked towns with regulated access and military protection. An expanding ecosystem of space-based homes offered another escape option as the planet reached the 21st century's second decade. In the late 2060s, underground towers, often called Earth scrapers, became the fourth alternative with broad economic and technological feasibility. These can extend hundreds of meters below the Earth's surface and use cutting-edge building materials, structural methods, self-sufficient power generation, food and water production, completely automated recycling, and other technologies. Unlike the overground micronations, most subsurface homes benefit from being practically immune to nuclear war and other external dangers. Because of their physical toughness, they are becoming more appealing as long-term investments. 4K volumetric displays. Early 21st century televisions had been getting thinner and narrower, but a new device class has turned this trend around. Volumetric displays have been used for years in aerospace, defense, medical imaging, and others. Still, they had far lower pixel counts and were much more expensive. But the mid-2060s, they'll be a commonplace consumer good and a feature in houses worldwide. This kind of television uses voxels and 3D objects when turned on. With a required data rate of upwards of 13 terabytes per second, these small, light particles refresh hundreds of times per second, which is around 1,000 times faster than conventional 2D transmissions in 4K. In addition to movie theaters, museums, galleries, and other public places, larger volumetric projections are also available. These currently provide spectacular experiences and a fantastic sense of immersion. These volumetric displays will eventually end up becoming the platform for hologram technology. Massive autonomous container vessels. Shipping firms started using container boxes more often in the 1960s. These made it possible to group freight and items into bulkier, unitized loads that could be carried, stacked, and packed neatly onto a ship or yard. There was an increasing need for more extensive seagoing boats as the economy progressed and society became more globally interconnected. The largest ships in the early 1970s could accommodate 2,000 TEU, with TEU referring to a measure of the number of 20-foot containers the ship can hold. The following decade saw a significant improvement in carrying capacity. They had surpassed 15,000 TEU by 2010 and frequently topped 23,000 TEU by 2020, a substantial improvement over 50 years ago. A century after their invention, container ships will have grown to enormous sizes by the late 2060s, with the largest ships being able to carry upwards of 50,000 TEU. These ships won't just be bigger, they'll also be entirely automated. The 2020s saw the emergence of ports with automated infrastructure, and the ships of the 2070s are also AI-controlled. Since the ships can run totally on their own and eliminate any prospect of hostage snatching, the days of piracy are long gone. Another development is that the whole world's shipping fleet is now 100% sustainable, thanks to the decommissioning of all older ships and the adoption of worldwide emission standards by newer vessels. Artificial superintelligence. Next up on our list is artificial superintelligence, ASI. This is a type of AI that can outperform human intelligence by displaying cognitive and evolving thinking abilities. Artificial superintelligence, often referred to as super AI, is thought to be the most sophisticated, potent, and intelligent kind of AI. It surpasses the intelligence of some of the greatest brains the world has ever known, including Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking. By 2070, these machines will be widespread throughout our planet. Superintelligent machines are self-aware and capable of conceptualizing concepts and interpretations that are impossible for humans. This is because just a small number of the human brain's few billion neurons are actually capable of thinking. An ASI can comprehend and interpret human emotions and experiences in addition to mimicking the multifaceted human behavioral intelligence. Space travel and tourism. By the late 21st century, more remote regions in the outer solar system have become the frontiers of human space travel, replacing the Moon, Mars, and the inner solar system. Over the past century, there has been a significant decrease in the price of launching people and goods into space. 100 years ago, the cost per kilogram was $85,000. Now, it's less than $1. Due to the recent creation of a space elevator and the generation of rockets and spacecraft, even those with relatively low salaries now have access to Earth's orbit. Guided lunar surface trips are an option for the more daring. These are often only available to those with above-average salaries because they are a little more pricey and complex. In addition, anything longer than an introductory tour takes commitment and training, making it familiar to be viewed as a very severe leisure sport, similar to old-school mountain climbers or deep-sea divers. The Apollo landing sites, which are UNESCO World Heritage Sites ringed by perimeter fence, are among the most well-liked tourist locations. A significant number of mining activities for human visitation are anticipated around near-Earth objects, main belt asteroids, and others, with some as far out as the Trojans of Jupiter around 2070. These operations will expand on similar operations already active on the Moon and Mars, and will produce an abundance of formerly rare metals and minerals, which will cause the price of some commodities to drop dramatically. Powerful artificial intelligence is in charge of the operations, which are nearly automated and require little human involvement. Antimatter spacecrafts. With fuel being undoubtedly one of the most valuable assets that takes spacecrafts into outer space, the fuel used in the 2060s won't be the one we utilize today. Deuterium and tritium, heavy hydrogen isotopes, with 1 and 2 neutrons, respectively, in their nuclei, are used as the fuel for those vessels. Hydrogen typically has no neutrons. This fuel is a pellet with uranium surrounding it. An anti-proton laser hits the pellets with an electrical charge of -1. With just 1.16 grams of anti-protons, a voyage to Jupiter can be made utilizing this propulsion technology in under 4 months. Nanofabrication. If you're wondering what nanofabricators might be, think of 3D printers, but better and faster. These mini factories have been around in several military, corporate, and medical environments for a while. However, the prevalence and success of nanofabrication in these sectors will ultimately allow the common man to get his hands on them as well. In terms of appearance, nanofabricators resemble a large box, like a microwave oven to be specific. The raw materials of this apparatus are purchased separately and can be loaded into it in a solid, liquid, or powder state. The interior compartment of this machine is where the magic takes place, constructing the desired object atom by atom. It could be a transplanted part of the human body or an entire architectural layout. The future is unpredictable, but with how technology progresses, our world will be incredibly different from what it is now. There's no doubt about that. The advancements taking place will be incomparable to our technology right now. However, all of this is yet to be seen, but we are certainly excited about its prospects. That's it for today. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos in the future. If you have any feedback or suggestions for future topics you'd like us to cover, then we'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. See you next time.